Hello and welcome back to the One United podcast. I'm joined by Henry. Henry, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
Yeah, not bad. In-person podcast. It should be a little bit different. Get things kicked off then. The big news coming out is there's been a couple of changes proposed by the FA and the Premier League clubs.
Yeah.
So we'll just go through them. First of all, you've got Project Big Picture.
The arrogant snob project.
Yeah, big time. So
yeah.
Just for those who don't know what Project Big Picture is, we'll sort of run through the points. We've got them up on the screen here. So we've got the Premier League would be reduced from 20 to 18 clubs. The EFL and the Community Shield would be scrapped. Current one club, one vote principle would be abolished, as that would rule that 14 clubs out of the current 20 need to agree on a policy. Power would be in the 9 clubs that have remained in the Premier League the longest: Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Southampton, Tottenham and West Ham. Only 6 of the 9 longest serving clubs need to vote for a major change. A £250 million payment up front to the EFL, plus £100 million payment to the Football Association. 25% of Premier League annual revenue, up from 4%, would go to EFL clubs. Emery, what do you think of
that? What they've tried to do, these lot, is they've tried to sway people by saying that all these payments are going to go to the EFL, which is fair enough, and but I don't think, for one, I don't think it should be the Premier League clubs that are doing that. I think the FA should take the initiative and do it themselves. And they've called it, they've said it's wrong and that we shouldn't, the clubs shouldn't do it and shouldn't agree to it. But they're only doing that because they've realised that they've made a huge cock up by not kind of financially backing people during the during coronavirus and the pandemic and lockdown and everything. And these top clubs, I think it was United and Liverpool that agreed first on doing it. I think it literally just is like a massive middle finger to the rest of the league, and essentially they're saying we've been dominant for this long, we deserve more credit than we're getting. So I don't agree with it whatsoever. I think the Premier League setup at the moment is good. The EFL Cup, I think scrapping that is a completely stupid idea, because not only does it bring more crowds into games, obviously when we can get them back, but it brings money to, although not a lot of money, it brings money to lower league clubs when games get televised and stuff. So I think we'd be losing, I wouldn't say a massively important competition, but it's not as important as the FA Cup, but at the end of the day it is still an important part. And the Community Shield, aka the Charity Shield, that's losing that would, I know it's like only a pre-season game, but it's still really watched by a lot of people, and whenever fans were able to go to the games, it would fill the stadium. So yeah, I'm not particularly happy with it, and I'm even more pissed off that United have been the ones to kind of force this through, along with the Scousers. So
yeah, I think the big problem with it that a lot of people are saying is, you've got that big sort of cash influx to the EFL to sort of sway them. They're going to see the money and go, yeah, we agree with this, it's more money for us. The money going to the FA is apparently going to go to non-league and grassroots football as well, which will be a big boost. But it just seems like they're setting up for the sort of inauguration of the European Super League type thing, giving power to the top, basically needing 6 teams to pass any majority. Those 6 teams could then pass a law where they're then allowed to go and compete in a European Super League and leave the Premier League behind. I think the EFL Cup thing is wrong. You don't abolish it. I think every season all the teams that are competing in Europe should be, withheld from the competition, so that there's a bit of a variance in the winner, because you don't want to see Man City winning it every single year, do you? I think, especially because the winner gets that place in Europe next year, it just adds a real bit of variation to the game. Gives other teams the opportunity in Europe, and by giving them an opportunity in Europe, they get a big cash influx themselves. So the money's not just constantly rotating through these top teams. So I think not a good idea. There's a few positive points to sort of hide the fact that it's a horrendous idea, but just going back to a European Super League, just how bad do you think that'd be for the game?
Yeah, the whole idea is a complete sham, to be honest, and I'm a little bit fed up of hearing about it. We've heard about it over the last kind of few years. It's not just this year that it's come to light, and again, it's the bigger clubs just trying to take complete control of European football, and I think it'd be boring. Yeah, the first year might be fantastic, but I think it would be boring because one of the biggest games that I'll use to kind of describe this is when Liverpool lost 3-0 at Red Star. Had like 3 times the amount of shots and still lost the game. I think it was 2 or 3-0. So when you get those giant killings, it's a bit of a wake-up call for for other clubs that you can do it if you're a lower club. As Red Star, they're not a fantastic club. So it's just, this is the top clubs trying to take control, and I think it's a bit of a joke, really. And I don't know how to express it enough that I can't fathom football changing from the Champions League when you can have giant killings to this European Super League, which would just be the top clubs taking a hit against each other, which they do anyway, and you don't get to the further stage of the Champions League or the Europa League unless you're a really top class, top quality club. And at the moment, I don't know why United are trying to take the initiative, because we would get absolutely shafted by every single club, and we'd lose 8 or 9-0 to every single club that we play. So, but
it makes sense from a United point of view, because we know what the owners want and what they need. They need money.
Yeah, they want money. Commercial sense, it makes sense. But
so to have this, to be completely separated from the Premier League, the financial incentive to have this European Super League, every media outlet in the world is going to be all over it. It's going to be the biggest thing in football. There's going to be a lot of money around it. United. It seems like United and Liverpool feel like the Premier League are holding them back, which in a way makes sense. The amount of money the Premier League could offer them compared to the amount of money that a European Super League could offer them is going to fit right in the Glazers' hands. So I know I'm ashamed to say that United are supporting this, but especially after what we heard from Kieran Maguire on Friday, it makes sense from a Glazer point of view why they're backing it.
But it's also, isn't it also a massive? Again, it's just that them saying "fuck you" to the fans essentially, because not only are they gaining so much commercial, success from the club, and they're taking dividends out and whatever, but they're now proposing to change most of football just to back their bank accounts again. So if this doesn't prove that they're shameful people, I don't know what does.
Well, football's been going away from the fans for years now, hasn't it? That divide from 20th place in the Premier League to first place in the Premier League just shows how split it is. There's no entertainment for the fans in any of the top leagues anymore. You already know before the season started what's going to happen. You're going to have a sort of a title push for the best 2 teams in the league. There'll be a little bit of a fight between 3rd and 6th for those Champions League places. The rest of it's just completely irrelevant. All the other teams are focusing on survival, and that shouldn't, as nice as it is for a United fan because we're used to winning, it shouldn't be what football is about.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. Well, I'm going to have to, because we saw Leicester win the title 4 years ago. A complete anomaly. No one expected it.
But that's the point. It's a complete anomaly. Like, that's the first time that's happened. Something like that's happened in
reality
like 30
of it is,
years.
Though, it does happen. And it's just proving that it does happen, and it's giving other teams an incentive to push forward. We've seen some, we've just seen Villa go and completely batter Liverpool. I know the United Spurs game was a little bit more of a top 6 battle, but we've just seen Villa, one of the sides last year that almost got relegated, and they didn't because of a VAR mistake, essentially, goal line technology. We've just gone and seen them pummel the champions of England at the moment.
This is an Aston Villa that have a bigger net spend than United over the past 3 windows.
It is, but it's an Aston Villa that don't have a bigger net spend than Liverpool over the past 5 windows ever since Klopp came in, and they were a Championship side before. So that's evidence that things can happen in the league, and I think if this supposed change to the league did happen, I think after 3 seasons it would just fall apart. I genuinely do.
Oh yeah.
Because the fans would turn. They would refuse to engage in all the bullshit that BT and Sky feed us.
Yeah.
And they would, just...
Well, the teams would turn as well. The teams that are left behind in the Premier League.
Yeah.
They're not. Well, what incentive have they got to compete?
How is it fair on those teams that have earned their right to be in the league for the top clubs just to shoo them out of the league? This would turn us into La Liga.
Yeah.
Or Serie A, where you've got essentially 2 or 3 clubs that just dominate and always get the benefit of the doubt. Barca always get the benefit of the doubt. Real and Atletico probably not so much, but they still get kind of push forward. And the same with Juve, Inter, and AC. Regardless of how bad they're doing, they still get much more credibility from the league themselves. So I don't want us to turn into those leagues.
Yeah, but just to bring it back to what we were saying earlier, though, saying about sort of evening the playing field out a bit, it's getting a bit boring of watching the same teams win.
Yeah.
It just shows you. I know we get the anomalies like Leicester, but they are still anomalies. Whereas you look at American sports, they've got a draft system every year where the last place team that the season before gets the best player of the year after to sort of even it out, and that's by evening the playing field. You see, what they even called it, the Chicago Bulls did. The three-peat. It makes things like that so much more special than when United won the league 3 times in a row.
Yeah, it does.
The fact that the playing field is levelled every single year and they still manage to dominate, that it's so much of a bigger and better achievement than anyone.
It is,
barring Leicester, it's a bigger achievement than anyone's ever made in.
But realistically,
in
the Premier League won't do that because the top clubs make too much revenue.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying that's what, as much as I hate American sports, that's what sets them apart from English sports.
It is, yeah. Every
season you go in not knowing who's going to win. I get for a period of time it was just Seahawks every year in the NFL, and it was the Bulls in the Golden State Warriors more recently in basketball and teams like that. But on a general scale, it's so much more unpredictable, and that just adds so much. That's why they don't care about the fans anymore. But if they cared about the fans, they'd implement a system like this. But it doesn't earn them money, so why would they?
But it's also the one thing I would say is these Premier League clubs now. The FA have been poorly run for years now, and we can see that they're only in it for the money. That's the reality. Whether they've got an ex-footballing pro at the top of kind of management in the FA, then it doesn't matter. They're all in it for the money. And this essentially, that £250 million payment up front to the EFL plus the payment to the FA. Personally, obviously the FA payment's only a sweetener for the deal, but personally that says to me they are telling the FA to do one here, because they're not going to, although it might be just a sweetener, the FA are not going to put the money into the EFL, so we'll do it ourselves. That's what the club are saying.
It's like you say as well, even the EFL are horrendously run, even from money management to how they allow teams to be taken over. There's all sorts of things wrong with that. It's
borderline corruption.
Yeah, so how long is that £250 million payment actually going to last?
Well, it depends how much goes to the CEO or the top management staff at the end of the day. And they have. One thing I will mention is the iFollow scheme that's still obviously going on and stuff. They don't even have the nous to bring in some top quality commentators, even if they're AFL commentators. They just let you watch the game just on a camera, and then you have the radio on, which is slightly delayed or behind. So the EFL don't cover themselves in glory when it comes to that. They're essentially, I go to some Exeter games when I'm back home, and every week there's when we could go into the ground, there was a chant, "Fuck the EFL." That's
Fair
what
enough.
Because it's all about money as well, and you're right, football's been taken away from the fans, and I think every football fan now is a bit fed up of seeing it. There are some that don't take notice, but I'm not sure that those people really are really invested in the long-term game.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we'll stick with that sort of topic because we're talking about broadcasting and the I follow type thing, and money. The second thing they have introduced, actually, they've had it passed, is this pay-per-view scheme. So they'll have the similar amount of games selected for Sky Sports and BT as they did before. So Sky Sports and BT will select their games to show on the channels, and every other game, if you want to watch it, you have to pay £15 to watch each game. £15 each game. If that goes on for a whole season, it'll cost more than about 90% of Premier League season tickets. I know you want to rant about this, so I'll let you take the floor.
I don't even know where to start with this. We've just spoken about money and whatever, and I've almost given up now with the leagues, and also BT and Sky and what they try to pull every single year. They always try and pull a fast one on the fans. You know what? I'm not going to encourage people to illegally stream games, but that's what's going to happen now.
Oh yeah.
Because who the fuck wants to pay 15 quid? Some people will, but I think you're playing a mugs game if you do. Because you're essentially agreeing with what they know how desperate people are to watch their team.
Yeah.
Fans are desperate to watch their team regardless, or however they can. I know they're saying, some people are arguing, yeah, but it's, cheaper than going to an actual game. Yeah, but we can't go to a game now. And we've already got our BT and Sky subscriptions. So why are we having to pay more to watch Premier League games? And I know they're saying, oh, but this money needs to go to the Premier League clubs because they're also poor and it's also difficult for them. How about the fans?
Yeah.
If someone's just about scraping their Sky subscription because they want to watch their team, or the BT as well, if they're just about, getting there, and then these lot come out with another 10 games that are going to cost you, 10 games, 150 quid if you want to watch every single one.
Mm-hmm.
That is essentially, I think you pay about £1,000 a year for Sky and BT combined, or something like that. You're essentially paying a tenth of the price within the space of a month.
Well, yeah. So, just a scenario then. You're just picking a team out the air. You're a West Ham fan.
Uh-huh.
You've just been made redundant because of COVID.
Yeah.
You're already paying £60 a month for Sky, a basic Sky, BT and Amazon Prime package to watch games.
Mm-hmm.
Say you have a bad month. West Ham don't get picked for any of the games.
Yeah.
Say you're playing 4 games that month. That's an additional £60 that month. You're paying £120 to watch 4 games from home when you've just been made redundant. You have no money, but it's okay because the Premier League clubs have made a bit of a loss over COVID and need to recuperate what they usually would.
It's I'll describe it as the FA are it's like UFC. The FA have just pinned someone down and they're just fucking laying into people right now. That's what they're doing. It's like kicking someone when they're on the floor. It's scum actions. It's the FA that agreeing with it as well. It's the Premier League clubs, scum. And it's BT and Sky, scum. So it's all of these three that are combined, and they are literally just pinning someone down and kicking them when they're on the floor. It's a complete joke. And it's sad. It's sad that we've gone from such fan-orientated football and it's now just a game of money, and the fact that all the Premier League clubs are agreeing to it as well. They're the ones that are trying to push for, we've made a little bit of a loss over COVID. So? But people have lost more than... people have lost lives over COVID. Mm. So, to essentially kick someone when they're on the floor, if they've been made redundant or they haven't got, or their job is kind of on hold, or they're earning 50% of what they were because they're about to take a wage cut. This is essentially just kicking people when they're down, and it's an absolute disgrace. It really is, and it's a shame for football fans in this country, because we thought clubs cared about the fans, the reality is the clubs don't, the players do to a level. We see stuff like that all the time, that, you know, interacting with the fans, it's important, but the clubs turning their backs. The one team that didn't agree to it was Leicester. They are a club that are run perfectly. Vichai did a fantastic job. Obviously, tragedy happened. Tot has now taken over, and he is a fantastic guy, and he is there for the fans. He's not there for the money. If he was there for the money, I'm not sure Leicester make a hell of a lot in terms of revenue from the club.
No.
So that's a correctly owned club, and it's sad to see it happen.
Well, the only hope that there is now, because you look on social media, where you're obviously, I'm personally on it most of the day, there's not been a single positive response that I've seen to this this news, whether it's from fans, journalists, anything. You know, the Premier League teams won't have a spokesperson come out and say that they're happy with this, because they know the reaction it'll get. So, you know, even like arguably the biggest footballing journalist in England at the minute, Henry Winter, I think that's fair to say, he's wrote at least 2 articles on how much of a bad idea this is. He's tweeted about it numerous times. Surely, if this gets enough traction, whether it takes some sort of movement by everyone or what, there's got to be a point where the Premier League think, this isn't going to work, we can't do this. And I think whether we achieve, like whether there will have enough people to achieve that or not, I don't think, you know, fans and professionals alike should stop until we get to this point, because I do genuinely think that we can get to a point where they completely reverse this decision. It's happened before, where decisions have been reversed based on the reaction.
It has, but the point is that they've done it in the first place, and if it takes a reaction to change from the fans, what kind of moron is deciding these things? If they know they're going to get a reaction, or if they're stupid enough to think they won't get a reaction from it, what kind of idiot is deciding these things? So it shouldn't have been there in the first place, and we'll take excuse after excuse from the FA and the about all kinds of issues, and the Premier League themselves, you know, and the whoever it is, the governing body or whatever, they will try to make excuses as to why they're doing this, and the only one thing that they never include in those excuses is money. And I think they shouldn't do it, but they get a little bit more respect if they were just honest with the fans. Listen, we've lost X amount of money, we'll show you how much we've lost, this is why we've got to do it. I'm not saying fans would agree with it, because I probably wouldn't, but at least it would give fans some sort of explanation, rather than them just thinking that they've been, you know, shoved into a dark room and they don't know what's going on. Yeah,
but, you know, there's a case to be made. Maybe United aren't the only ones that are being run by complete arseholes. Maybe the Premier League is run by a small little group of Ed Woodwards. I think it's becoming more and more apparent. You know, United aren't the only ones that clearly care about money over football. The game truly has gone mad. And I think these few decisions, if the project big picture comes to fruition as well, it will just show, it will be a sign of the times that the people don't care about the fans. Like, the people who run football are not football fans either.
No, they're not. They're business people. And it's not just United. I know we rant about them all the time, but at the end of the day, we're a United-based podcast. But it is run by a bunch of business people, investment bankers, or whatever. I, quite frankly, couldn't give a shit about investment banking or who the hell does it. I don't care. It's not got a place in football. And these idiots, these people that have like 10 brain cells, think that it's got its place in football, and the reality is it doesn't, and no one actually gives a crap if they're an investment banker or not. They just care about a perfectly, well, not perfectly, but a well-run football club. Yeah, not even well-run financially. Whether well-run, financially, and for the fans as well. Yeah. Do shit for the fans. Don't just, I bet you know, Ed Woodward's still enjoying his £3 million mansion or whatever the hell he's got in Manchester.
He bought another one because he didn't want the fans attacking his house.
Yeah, bought another one, and he doesn't, he doesn't give a crap about the fans. I know some people say he does, but I really don't think he does, because he's there for the money. They give him money to do a shit job, and he just says he's a yes man. He just says, yeah, okay, that's fine.
But it's like Kieran said, they're paying him to do a job, Ed Woodward, and based on their definition of that job, he is doing that job very well. United have grown tenfold in a commercial sense since he's been here. United as a commercial power are 10 times the power they were when Fergie was in charge. So he's doing his job. It's the Glazers that are giving him the wrong job description.
No, they are, but morally, and you can edit this bit out, morally, he is.
I'll put a little bleep over it.
Yeah. Is he not, though?
Oh.
In the moral sense, he's basically gone, there's, if you guys can't see this, I'm putting my middle finger up. He's putting his middle finger up to all those fans over there and saying, come on to the Glazers, you give me your money, I'm happy to do that part of the job, but you lot can go sod yourself, because, even though this club's got rich history, you can go sod yourself, because we don't care about you anyway. We just care about what comes into my bank account and what goes into Joel and Avram Glazer's bank account, and Darcy or whoever the bloody sister's called. Or
see, I think I really don't want to come across as someone who is supporting Ed Woodward here, but I think the blame can't go on him anywhere near as much as it can the Glazers, because we know he's a money man. The Glazers have hired him because of that. We can't expect someone who knows nothing about football to go out and sign very astute signings. Whether they're obvious or not, it's obvious Jadon Sancho would have been an incredible signing, but if Joel Glazer has said he makes no financial sense to him, Ed Woodward can't then go, right, he can't go behind his back and offer his own, he can't offer Glazer's money. So I think, yes, give Ed Woodward credit, because not credit, criticism, because he's way out of his depth in this job.
He is.
He should be in the financial department of United. He shouldn't be anywhere near the footballing side, but the blame has to go completely on the Glazers, because while they're still making a profit from this club, and there's no doubt about it, they are, whether they post losses or profits, the fact that they take dividends means they themselves are making a profit from this club every single year.
They are, yeah.
Then why would they? There's no obligation for them to change it. And Ed Woodward is completely inept, but by the sounds of it, he's probably doing the best he can do, because he is I'll use a nicer word, but he's an idiot in a footballing sense.
Yeah.
So we can't expect him to go out and do a good job when he doesn't know how to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I know I might personally, I wouldn't do what he's doing now, because
no one in their right mind would.
No, because you get so much crap for it. Obviously, they're paying him. He's the highest paid, as you call him, a director of football or chief executive, whatever they call him. He's the highest paid in the league in that sense, but he does the worst job in terms of the footballing side of things. He does the worst job out of every single.
Easily.
I've just seen West Ham go and sign Craig Dawson on loan from Watford till the end of the year, and go and potentially have an option to buy. And that's a better transfer business than we've probably done this year. In regards to, they've actually got a centre back who was decent last year, wasn't a bad player, was good the year before, and we're so inept and incapable of doing a good job that we're now falling so far behind the top clubs. I'll call them the top clubs because they're better than us at the moment. And Woodward is sitting watching every single game, and he's probably texting Joel Glazer going, right, that's it, Joel, I want another 3 million in my bank now because I can't keep watching this shit anymore. And they'll go, yeah, sure, no, we'll go down to 1.5 million over 2 years, yeah? So he is probably still okay with what's going on, and morally that makes him a terrible person.
See, I want to go back sort of 5 steps, because I'm definitely making a clip of that, but just in case you lot didn't hear that, Henry has just said that Craig Dawson was a better signing than Cavani. So
I did not say that.
You said Craig Dawson is better business than we've done this summer.
Yeah, because we didn't get a centre half, which was the priority position.
So would you rather play Maguire and Lindelof or Maguire and Craig Dawson?
At the moment, I'd rather play Craig Dawson and Eric Bailly. Form wise,
I'll leave that to the edit.
Yeah, I might be a bit ridiculous here, but to be honest, I think, and they're about to sign Ben Rama as well.
Apparently that's collapsed.
Well, it could have collapsed, or they're going to sign Josh King. Either way, and all we've got to show for it is, he might be a good signing for the future. Facundo Pellistri, Edison Cavani's already in a wheelchair, and Alex Telles was one that probably booted the Porto chairman over the head and said, right, I want this move now. But we're bar those two, it's like we're nurturing bloody kids again, and it's doing my head in. We have to, as I said to you on the way here, I said it last year, and it really almost is Nonce FC again, because we are literally just taking in. We buy all the kids and say, oh, but they'll grow into something good, or why not buy someone good who's already good, who can get better, who's already world class, but can get even higher, go even higher level. Why not just do that? Because the kid version that they've stuck with for 7 years clearly hasn't fucking worked, because we're still finishing although we finished third last year and scraped it, we're still finishing 4th and 5th. So it's clearly not working.
Well, yeah, like you say, just off the top of my head, young kids we've brought in since Fergie left. So Memphis Depay, Diogo Dalot, obviously Dan James, Facundo Pellistri. It's too early to tell, so I'll take him out of it. They're the three major ones I can think of off the top of my head. None of those have improved since coming to United. In fact, they probably declined.
Dan James has declined massively, and I hope he gets his head straight and realises United is not the right club for him.
Memphis Depay, at the age of 20 at the time, he was the top scorer in the Eredivisie.
Yeah,
he had just the season before, he had gone to the World Cup with Netherlands and played and scored. He was the biggest talent, the biggest young talent in the world at that point.
Yeah,
he signed for United, had a season, had 1.5 seasons where I'm pretty sure he scored one league goal, and we shipped him off for almost a 50% loss. Diogo Dalot, one of the most exciting right backs in the world when we signed him at the age of 18.
On loan you go, bye.
Yeah, he made a pretty promising start as well. He looked good. Maybe not in front of goal. I remember he missed a couple of sitters, but he looked good. Under that first season, half Mourinho, half Ole. And then Ole just sort of throws him out of the team. Second season, he chooses Fosu Mensah over him and loans him out. It's all good saying we want to sign players for the future, but the players you're signing are not improving. So they're not players for the future. They're players for now, and the players for now are shocking.
Yeah, this whole process over the last 7 years hasn't worked at all. And then we've gone. I know Falcao was injury prone at the time and terrible, but we've just gone and signed another 33-year-old. He'll probably be a better player than Falcao was.
Yeah, but
he's still 33 years old. And we also signed Bastian Schweinsteiger a few years ago, and Ed Wood was sat with doing a interview going, oh, that was sending shivers down people's spines. Yeah, it will. It will send a shiver down Bastian Schweinsteiger's spine, because he's probably got some sort of Alzheimer's or something, because he's 90 years old. So he literally, we're bringing in the OAPs, and then we're saying, oh, but it's just for leadership reasons. And then we've got a captain who is clearly such a good leader that we have to bring in a 33-year-old to mentor everyone, and he can't speak fucking English. He can't speak English, and he's going to have to mentor Marcus Rashford. What's it going to be like him writing on a whiteboard in, whatever whether he's going to speak French with the players, or whether he'll, writing on a whiteboard going, can you translate this for me? Oh, that's going to be very helpful, isn't it? And he's probably going to be here for another year or maybe two. And then
at least a year, yeah.
Yeah, and then he'll go over to bloody China and earn a few million, and then retire. So this whole idea that that deal makes sense is, Oh, it was beyond. It wasn't even a buy, obviously, but it was beyond panicking because we had 7 months to go and get him. And we chose the last few days. Now he can't even play his first game against Newcastle. So as far as I said before, as far as Woodward goes, morally he is a Class A drib.
Well, so. We'll keep it on a positive note then, as we've just seen.
Camera.
Huh?
Should we go to the camera?
Yeah, if you want.
Easier Maguire bit.
Yeah, well, I was just to sort of keep on a positive note. Then there's a lot of rumours going around that Ollie's job is in trouble, which is
bad, but at the same time, I'm kind of pleased.
Well, I'll leave it to you then. Do you think he should be sacked? Because there's a big report coming in. Goldbridge used the quote, United have got more holes than a sieve, because information just seems to come spewing out of them at all angles. So there's Sky Sports have reported it, so whether you take that as gospel or not, but there's Ed Woodward and co are very happy to get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at any moment, by the sounds of it. What are they right?
God. When it comes to managerial decisions, yes, they are completely correct to want to get rid of a manager who is completely failing at his job at the moment. There's all these reports coming out about how the players feel that he's a nice manager, but he's a really nice guy, and everyone listens to his stories about the Champions League when he scored that goal, which he probably mentioned about 900 times to the players. He's fantastic when it comes to man management, and I'm sure he is, but when it comes to tactical kind of knowledge and quality, and he failed at Cardiff, where he tried to implement this style of free-flowing football or whatever, and it didn't work. When something doesn't work as a manager, you change. We saw Mourinho did it with United. You change your style, and he hasn't, and he's played every single game pretty much as that 4-2-3-1 this year, and it's worked 1 out of 3 times, and that was only because we got a spawny penalty in the last minute. So, in terms of getting rid of him, I think it's a good shout, but I think it was a reckless decision in the first place to appoint him as manager. And Poch was available at the time. So,
here's my piece then. So, yes, he's not a good enough manager to be United.
Yeah.
To be the United manager, sorry.
Uh-huh.
But, given the job given his complete lack of experience, and given the job he was given to do, that squad was a mess when Mourinho was on his way out. No one, it was just a massive group of individuals. No one, it didn't even seem like anyone was even slightly friendly with each other. Pogba wanted to leave, Sanchez had been outcast, so on and so on. Martial wanted to leave.
Yeah.
The job he did that first half season, and to then get third, given the, he's not a big manager. He wasn't. He didn't come in and people were going, "Oh well, he's going to win us the league." I think.
Well, deluded people.
Yeah, but given that they've not backed him this summer at all, they've not got any of his top targets. I'd be surprised if he even really wanted Van der Beek. But do they have grounds to sack him, given the job that they gave him to do and the resources they handed him and his managerial ability in general? They can't have expected him to do much more than he's already done. So
first of all, when it comes to grounds to sacking people, the owners and the management staff can do what the hell they want. It's their decision. You said before about the Glazers being able to do what the hell they want with the financial side of the club. As far as I'm concerned, they can do what the hell they want with Solskjaer. They could put him in a bin if they wanted to, as long as it's part of the contract. So they can do what the hell they want as long as there's something that says that they can sack him after. If they have to pay a compensation fee of X amount. So, in regards to that, they're well within their rights to do what the hell they want, because they own the club. And I know I don't like it myself, but they do. So, and when it comes to, is it right to do it considering the job he's done? Probably not. Because last year, you're right, he did get, third. We got it luckily, even though Chelsea had a transfer ban, obviously, and they were looking more improved than we were at the time, and also Leicester fell off. They lost Maddison and a couple of others to injury. obviously after lockdown and stuff. So, yeah, in regards to that, no, it's not the morally right decision to do it, but in terms of results and the quality of football we've seen this season, they didn't get his top targets, and I think they're proving why now, because he's not part of the long-term plan.
Yeah,
the part of the long-term plan is to get Poch in and him to, although he will save the Glazers money by doing the job that he'll do, he'll probably get better results at the team than Solskjaer is at the moment, and the players don't look motivated. As soon as the players lose motivation under a manager, it's time to go. It's an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Credit to him, he will not give up and he will not leave that job, because at the end of the day, if he can keep it, it's probably the best job he's going to get in football. So he won't leave, and credit to him, he's stuck by and always said about the players being, this and that, but he started to, you can see a little bit of a change in his attitude in press conferences, where he's starting to be he's a little bit more frustrated, you can tell, with his body language and the way that he's talking to the media and stuff. So I completely understand his frustrations, but at the same time, I think tactically we're seeing a different side of him. We've just been beaten 6-1 by Spurs. The only reason he hasn't been sacked at the weekend was because Liverpool lost so heavily. Yeah, if they'd have won that game 3-0, he would have been gone.
That just sort of brings me on what I was going to say as well, because tactically, yes, he's beaten big teams because he's got fast players and he utilises the counter-attack well.
Yeah, exactly.
But just generally speaking, he's not a tactical manager. He very much relies on individual performances. If you see Bruno Fernandes have a bad game, we will not win the game. If you Paul Pogba started the season horrendously, therefore we have. Martial's not playing well. We don't have his influence in the game. Solskjaer has not tactically set up that team to incorporate having Martial not playing well enough. There's no fluidity to that front line.
No, it's not.
It's a team full of individuals. You see that when they can't string two passes together against each other. You see Brighton pinging the ball around us. Yeah. Even in the cup, their second team was playing better football than we were.
Yeah.
Van der Beek adds that class, but that, again, individual performance.
But there's no structure.
Yeah.
Absolutely no structure. Watching the game and I'm thinking, so I did the analysis last week of a little part. It wasn't even a clip. It was just a picture of what was happening tactically, and it was just a complete mess. Everyone was out of position, and there was no urgency to get back. And Luke Shaw was playing centre mid, and Pogba was playing, as a cam, and then there was no one holding because Matic was playing as a centre back, and it was just a complete joke and a complete mess. And when you say tactically he hasn't got the knowledge, you are right. People say, he's beaten Pep and co. Yeah, that's because City can't defend against counter-attacks. We've seen that against Liverpool. They can't defend against counter-attacks. And every single game that we've beaten top clubs, it's just been sit back. Hopefully the keeper has a good game, because if he doesn't, we're fucked anyway. And wait for them to come onto us and then just hit them on the counter-attack and brum Dan James go down the right-hand side. Hopefully he's onside and someone just lumps it up to him and we get him behind. It genuinely, the first couple of months of him being there, the football was exhilarating, fantastic.
Yeah.
But that was only because we were able to attack teams. Now that we actually can't defend, we're being exposed massively, and the players are just all out of position, and it's just a joke to look at, to be honest. So,
well, quick fire questions then. How long does he have left before he gets sacked?
I think if this month, with the PSG, Chelsea and Arsenal, I believe we got in the next 5 or 6 games, if we don't win 4 out of those 6 games, he's done. Next
question then. Who do you want to see come in?
I think I said Allegri before, but in terms of DNA and what the club need at the moment, probably Poch, because he's done it with Spurs in the league, although they didn't, win the league or anything. But he's an exciting manager, and I think he's just waiting for that phone call right now.
Yes, but I'd agree with you, because we were talking in the car on the way up here, weren't we? That even going back to what we were saying in the podcast, United sign players for the future.
Yeah.
And then don't develop these players. Which you look at what Poch did at Tottenham. He brought Kane through the ranks.
Dele Alli.
He brought Kane through the ranks, made him, on his day, the best striker in the Premier League. I don't think that's really up for debate. He brought Dele Alli through. Dele Alli was, for 2 seasons, an absolute world beater. No one could get anywhere near him. He was hitting double digits for goals and assists.
Yeah.
In his first and second season in the Premier League after coming up from League 2.
Yeah.
Or maybe League 1. I'm not an expert.
League 1, yeah.
League 1, there you go. So this is a bloke who, yes, his record against the top 6 isn't great because he's given 50p every year to spend on his team. So you can't expect him to beat teams like Man City. But it's still okay record. Like they're comparing it to Ole, but we've just said that's how Ole does so well. But you throw that out the window, and Poch wipes the floor with Ole in every aspect. He's even a better man manager. Like that season that Spurs were going for the title, you saw how unified they were as a team. Even the Battle of the Bridge. Yes, they lost their heads, but they lost their heads as a team. Every time they were going in for a challenge, players were going in and backing their players. You saw that it just goes back to the Maguire thing. There was no, the scuffle at the weekend. Maguire stayed out of it, told Rashford to stay out of it as well.
Yeah. And
then went over to the ref afterwards and didn't really, he just sort of nodded his head and agreed at it.
As I said to you before, he bitched out. He did.
So Pochettino fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah.
And I like Ole. I'm still not Ole out, despite what I've said. I know it makes me sound like a massive flip-flop. Like, there's too much looking back in rose-tinted glasses for me to say I want Ole out of my club. But I can't sit here and say I do not want Poch to take over as manager, because even with limited funds, Poch will take this team to a level that Ole can't take them.
See, I'll never say I want Ole out of the club altogether. I'd never say that because, he did a lot for us when he was playing. But when it comes to management, he is out of his depth. And I think I said that a while before everyone started turning a little bit. Said it a long time before because the signs were still there. Like a year ago, in some games, you'd think, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe we're not quite there in the first place." I don't dislike him at all, but in terms of management, he is way out of his depth, and I think the owners need to start realising that that's the case. And I think they will. If he doesn't perform in these next few games, they're make or break for him, and they haven't backed him in the market, which also suggests to me they don't believe that he's the one to take the club forward.
But yeah, that's just one more thing on Poch as well. Like he took that team with Tottenham, was given little backing at all in the transfer market. We've seen Ole, his first full season, he spent over £200 million on players that he wanted. He wanted Harry Maguire. He wanted Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They were both his first choice targets.
Yeah.
He wanted Bruno. They got him. He was backed that first season, and he did well off the back of it. I'll give him credit. So can you imagine Pochettino being backed on that similar sort of scale? If Pochettino gets in players that he wants to get in, and is then able to work with them tactically and even as a man manager, I don't see how that doesn't work.
So, right, there's a lot of ifs and buts here. I'm not going to say he'll be a massive success at United because the business model at United is not favourable to managers at all.
I still don't expect him to win as a league.
Yeah, so it has to be a pretty good anomaly to do a fantastic job. He might do well in the first couple of seasons, and we might win a title, but that still doesn't change from the fact that this is not favourable towards any manager whatsoever.
No.
But the United job is still well looked at by top managers, and everyone knows that. So, I just don't think it's favourable at all for anyone. And I think Solskjaer thought this was a fantastic dream job, and I think it's turned into a bit of a nightmare over the last 3 or 4 months. Spot
on, yeah. So, we're sort of semi-running out of time, so we'll go on to our last topic then. There's been a lot of speculation, even ever since he was arrested in Greece, there was speculation about whether Maguire should or shouldn't keep the captaincy, and that was just sort of thrown into the limelight again after the Spurs game. So we just wanted to talk about it. Do you think Harry Maguire should be United captain?
That is to be fair, I've been so critical of him over the last few weeks. Do I think he should be out of the club? No, I don't at all. I'm going to put that on record now. Do I think he should be out of the club? No, because when he came in, I backed him, and I think he still can be a good player under a better manager, but he's not proven it yet. So, but in terms of should he be a captain, is he captain material? I don't think so. I just don't see it. I don't see the leadership there. I see a quiet boy who's been thrown in the deep end. And he's not a very loud speaker when it comes to, about the club and stuff. He never has been at previous clubs. At Leicester, he wasn't the one that drilled everything into everyone about how, what it means to play for the club and whatever. So I don't see that in him at all. I just don't. And I might be wrong because I'm not behind the scenes or whatever. But I think it sets a dangerous precedent when you bring in someone and then a year later, or not even that, 6 months later or whatever, he becomes the United captain. It sets a dangerous precedent for other players because they think that, hang on a minute, maybe this club is, captaincy doesn't mean as much as it used to at this club. So, no, I don't think he should be the captain. I think it's rough to strip someone of captaincy. I think Solskjaer won't do it. Let's be true with that. If he leaves, I think there might be a bit of a sway in who becomes captain to take him out of the limelight, because he's right in the spotlight now and it is not doing him any favours. So, yeah, there's a cultural issue at the club there, and I can't hate on him a hell of a lot. He's made some stupid errors in the last year or so, not just footballing, obviously off the pitch as well, and that's not good, and it's not correct of a captain. You know, it shouldn't be him as captain. It should be someone who's a little bit more experienced.
So you're saying he shouldn't be captain then? Get on, just one word answer. Should Maguire be captain of United?
No.
Fair enough. Just
Can I just make a quick point?
Yeah.
So you look at the previous captains that we've had.
Yeah.
The notorious ones. Roy Keane obviously stands out as one of them. You look at Ferdinand when he was captain, Vidic when he was captain. They were both captain and vice captain, I believe, under Ferguson. Those are imposing figures. And Vidic might not be, he spoke good English, but he, might not be fantastic. But he does it with actions. Aggression on the pitch. You see him when players lower the standards. You see him screaming at them. And Maguire, it'll go back to the VAR thing again. But VAR said they'd made their decision. Who? What? Who gives a shit? You still back your players. It's just, it's actually infuriating. If that happened with Roy Keane, he would have fucking headbutted that referee. And that's not a good thing, but he would have shown a bit of passion and would have been screaming in his face and saying, what the fuck are you doing? So, that's just weakness. It really is. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, I'm just saying he's not a captain. He's just not. And, for England, Kane's captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's your evidence. Spurs are not a bigger club than us, but maybe they're becoming one. But their captain is captain of England. Our captain is not, because he's clearly too much of a quiet guy.
Fair enough. See, I'll sort of disagree with you then, because
sure.
I can 100% see why he was given the captaincy. I can also 100%, without doubt, I will tell you that he was given the captaincy too early.
Yeah.
6 months in, Ashley Young left. They were put in a bit of a predicament anyway, because who out of that team is a leader, really?
Yeah.
But, they gave it to him, too early or not, is debatable, but they gave it to him because we saw last transfer window, they're going for this young British team.
Yeah.
And, what says...
What says xenophobia, like a big white guy taking the captaincy?
Well, they need sort of...
It's true. It's so true.
They need a figurehead for this thing they're going down. So who better to put as the leader of this new revolution that they want to have in a way than the most expensive British player of all time who's just arrived at your club. He fits the mould of the direction they want to go in perfectly. I think the reason he's come under so much stick is that a few bad things have happened to him in quick succession. It's just horrendous timing. I think if getting arrested is bad, yes, but we've heard his side of the story, which I'm going to choose to believe because I'm going to support him. And if he was, protecting his sister, then that's fair enough. But
still naive.
Very naive, yeah, undoubtedly. But I think we'd all do it if we're in the circumstance. Whether you're United captain or not, if you think a family member's in trouble, you're going to go and defend them.
But as United captain, you have a responsibility higher than most.
That's the problem, though.
To set an example for other people. You're a role model.
If you look across at your sister, but it sounds like she was spiked, her eyes rolling back to the back of her head. She looked in danger. If you think there's a threat on a family member's life, Man United captaincy's not in your head at all. No, if for that moment you're responsible for your family member, you are not responsible for the biggest club in the world, and that's my point. So you then double that with what I will happily go on record and say have been some abysmal performances this season.
Yeah, Paul.
And recency bias amongst fans will make you forget that he helped us to create statistically the second best defence in Europe last season. I get a lot of that was Wan-Bissaka as well. Lindelof had a good season last season. Luke Shaw wasn't as bad as we know he is. So he deserves full credit for that. He's in no way a bad player.
When one thing goes bad, it all goes to shit.
Exactly. He's in bad form. He's a good. You saw him at Leicester. He's a good defender.
But is he a leader?
Whether he's a leader or not, I'll come on to that anyway. But for the reason that he got arrested in Greece and that he's not playing well, they're not reasons you should strip him of the captain. You strip him of the captain now, and the whole squad goes into complete disarray.
You strip him under this manager, it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
I agree with that. But you get a new manager in and you change the captaincy, you don't look that bad.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But the next point is obviously going to that VAR thing where he's not a captain who on the pitch will go up, confront refs, shout in their face, very aggressive. Like Roy Keane was. Everyone wants to compare him to Roy Keane. If Roy Keane did what he did in the modern day with how the game's changed, he would not. He'd be playing every 3 games because he'd be constantly suspended, and in those 1 in every 3 games, he'd be getting sent off every single game.
Okay.
So we can't expect that from a captain anymore. We cannot expect a captain to be aggressive and shouting in the refs' faces and doing what Roy Keane did.
Hold on a second. All of those Spurs players were crowding the ref when that happened. They all ran over. All of them. Mourinho was screaming at them. You all back your team. That's what you do. And Maguire stood there, hands on his hips, looking, going, "Well, this is not ideal,
I don't defend him for what he did at all. That bit of it was a mistake.
You can still shout in people's faces, in referees' faces, without being sent off or without being called too aggressive, or whatever, because it does sway decisions, and it might not sway that decision they made then, but in future decisions, when Lamela, by the way, should have been sent off. I mentioned it before. Should have been sent off. Stupid VAR decision. But it sways decisions. So something that might not be a yellow card in the game, if you're having a go at the ref saying you're shit, you're not doing your job properly, you've given them all these decisions, why aren't you giving us anything? If you're chirping in his ear the whole game and he gives someone a booking and then that player makes a challenge in the 89th minute, or like the 60th minute or whatever, that is certainly a booking, he's getting sent off.
Yeah, but the problem is as well, so I've worded it wrong, because yes, you can have an influence on the ref, but fans are expecting Harry Maguire to act like Roy Keane, and if he acts like Roy Keane in this day, he will not survive as a footballer. Now, arguing with the ref, yes, getting in the ref's face, you can get in trouble for it, but most players don't. There's a whole compilation of clips of Harry Maguire in the ref's face shouting at opposition players and stuff like this. So it's not like he doesn't do it. I think it's a very isolated incident.
Yeah, but that regardless of isolation or whether it's just one incident or not, that incident happened last week. That incident didn't happen 6 months ago, and it's being brought up now. That happened last week. I don't focus on the past. I focus on the now. United fans focus on the now. They can't go, yeah, but he did it 6 months ago, so he clearly just didn't feel like doing it today. He felt a bit ill, didn't really want to shout. Just he looked like he'd given up.
Yeah,
there, And if we see one player, especially the captain of the club, look like he's given up, what are we doing?
Yeah, but then, you look at what has happened to him recently. Obviously, there's a dip in form. There's everything going on with the Greek prison, which is going to have an effect on your head. Yeah. So the dip in form is understandable anyway. Yeah. You then take the captaincy off him. That's just going to destroy any confidence that you had left. And you might not ever get a good performance out of him again, realistically. If your confidence is completely shot to bits, you've gone from being United captain, helping them to third in the league, helping them to become the second best defence in the league. You're coming off the back of a very good performance in the World Cup as well. Your confidence is sky high. Suddenly one thing leads to another. It's a complete drop from hero to zero. That could be the end of Harry Maguire.
Yeah, but...
And then... Go on, sorry.
So, no, I agree with you they shouldn't strip him now, because I think, as I said before, that's a naive decision. That's a stupid decision. Because it will destroy his confidence and potentially put a hit on his career. It will. So I don't agree with stripping him of the captaincy now. I'm saying in the first place he shouldn't have been awarded the captaincy. And he needs to be taken out of the spotlight.
Yeah. We
saw him play against Spurs. He was poor. We saw Lindelof and Bailly play the game before against Brighton.
Yeah, in the cup.
And they were good. They looked good together. They looked, a bit more composed.
But to be fair, that front line was sort of semi-championship standard.
Yeah, it was, but still, they looked more composed than the Maguire's looked, and maybe he just needs dropping out of the spotlight.
Dropping, yes, absolutely, but not having his captaincy taken off him.
No, but then someone could take the leadership, like De Gea.
Well, that was what I was coming into with my next point then. If Maguire's not captain, who do you give the armband to?
God. See, that is...
Who's worthy of that armband? I know there's so many calls for Bruno to take it because they've seen him. He shouted at Maguire in the dressing room and he shouted at Lindelof in the Europa League semi-final. He's been here 6 months. Let's remind you. Everyone's saying Maguire was given the captaincy too early after 6 months. What makes you think Bruno's going to be any different?
Because he's shown leadership skills since.
Fair enough, but Maguire in those first 6 months showed leadership
skills. Would I
skills.
have Bruno over Maguire as captain? Yes. Now, but who is best suited for the captaincy role? A seasoned pro who's been there for so many years. De Gea.
Who is in the worst form of his life. His confidence is shot to bits. Hold
on a second. I just watched him play against Switzerland
for Spain.
Made zero mistakes. Made one world-class save. Had a fantastic game. Sound with everything he did. He looked like not going to say the old De Gea, but he looked a lot better than he looks with that United team. So, and he has made mistakes. Fair enough, but. Can he handle the pressure? Can he take a bit more flack than Maguire? And can he not let it get to his head? Yes. And has he been at the club for that many years that people will listen to him no matter how shit his form is? Yes.
That's fair enough. But, we've seen a couple of mistakes crept in. Let me start by saying wearing a United shirt and wearing a Spain shirt is completely different. So you can't base his United form...
At the moment, it's really not. Spain are poor.
Well, yeah, but the amount of pressure that comes with playing for a club like United, whereas compared to playing in a friendly for Spain...
He wasn't playing in the friendly.
Well, Nations League, it's a glorified friendly.
Yeah, but the point is, you're playing for your nation.
Yeah.
So you've got your United fan base on you, you've got a country who, if you make a mistake, they're going to rip you to shit anyway. And it's probably more personal there, because you're from that country, you want to represent where you're from with pride. It's probably more personal if someone criticises you when you perform poorly for your country.
But then, how many fans do United have worldwide?
Oh, God, I don't know. Over hundreds of millions.
A hell of a lot more than the population of Spain. So if he plays poorly for United, there's going to be...
But I don't think it's as personal.
It's not as personal, no. But my point still stands. So De Gea's had criticism in the past. And definitely recently, that just seemed to make him weaker and weaker.
Right, okay.
He makes a few mistakes, gets a bit of criticism. You think he'll brush it off. No, he keeps making mistakes. And he hasn't stopped yet. So
who would you do?
That's the point. I'd keep Maguire because, the next option is probably Pogba, is it not? This is Paul Pogba who's just told everyone he would like to move to Real Madrid. There's no...
See,
I don't think he's committed to United, and you can't therefore give him the captaincy.
Bold claim. Matic. 31-year-old pro, been at the top level, won almost everything. And this year has probably been one of our better players. And a big imposing figure who, might not be the loudest guy, but performs on the pitch. To be honest, I didn't see him play fantastic against Spurs, but I saw a performance where I thought he is the
only... It was dignified.
He was the only one that was trying and actually being able to pull stuff together a little bit in that side. So, yeah, give it to him. I know we've seen Rashford get... and I want to go on record and say this as well. My criticism of Marcus Rashford off the pitch, what I said, was probably a little bit too harsh. Probably.
Right.
Of the stuff that affecting him on the pitch and stuff, I'll go on record and say the stuff that he's done off the pitch is fantastic for the country, not just for who he's helped, but for almost a revolution and change for many people. So what he's done on the pitch is fantastic. Maybe some of my criticism was a little bit too reactionary and unjustified, so I'll say that now. And yes, I can wind my neck in and say that I was wrong. But yes, I was probably a little bit unjustified with some of the stuff I said previously.
But yeah, the problem with then giving Rashford the captaincy is I've never seen him display any sort of leadership. And the first thing that was said when Cavani was brought in is, we can have such an influence over these players like Rashford and Martial. If your captain is then being influenced by someone else in the team...
I'm not saying Rashford should be captain.
But I'm just making the point of there's no other options. So while, yes, Maguire isn't the best captain, and in an ideal world I wouldn't have him as captain, but as bad as it sounds, he's the best of a bad bunch in my opinion, and he's done nothing. He's not done enough to warrant having it taken off him.
I just don't think he can handle the pressure. I genuinely don't, and we've seen it with England as well. He's made a few mistakes with England, not costly mistakes. But I don't think he can handle it, and he doesn't look like he's handling it very well at the moment with his playing and his performances. So there needs to be someone to take control, and the problem with our squad at the moment is the only player that's been there for 4 or 5 years is Mata.
But he don't play enough, does he?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't play enough. I'm not saying he should be captain, but he's the only player that's been there for that long. You always usually have a cultured pro at your club that's been there and still playing at the top level. Fernandinho at City, still playing at the top level. Azpilicueta, Chelsea, still playing at the top level and dominant. And you've got Henderson and then Van Dijk as leaders for Liverpool. So, and we seem to have. Pogba could take that role, but I genuinely don't think he wants to be at the club right now. And I've said it before, I do not blame him whatsoever for wanting to be out of that club, because we've given him so many false promises that we haven't lived up to. And, so many promises that we've just basically shafted him with. And I think it would be unfair to put a captaincy on him. And then if he does leave next summer... Your captain's left the club and you're left mopping up the shit that comes after it. So, but if someone else comes in, if Poch comes in, I don't see Maguire being captain. I just don't.
See, if Poch comes in, I do. I wouldn't want Poch to change the captain.
I don't know whether he would, but I think considering he's native, almost native to Spain, how much he played there and has so much kind of affiliation with the country, I think it would end up being De Gea unless he leaves.
But then just because we need to end soon, one final point.
Yeah.
De Gea got stripped of his sort of vice-captaincy role because he spoke out about the club. So that clearly wasn't a managerial decision.
No, that wasn't.
I don't think De Gea is actually allowed to be captain of this club based on the people who run the club.
No, I don't either.
Which is the big problem.
The reason why I love him so much because of that is because he literally said this club is fucking itself up.
Yeah.
This club is going round in circles and doing shit all about it. So he was right to say that. I don't think it was a managerial decision. I think it was a decision from the board where they said, oh God, we've got someone that doesn't particularly like us here. But you know what we'll do? We'll go offer him a new contract of $350k a week anyway, just to prove that we're nice guys. He should have the captaincy because he's got the bollocks to speak out about shit that's going wrong with this club, whereas everyone else just goes, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah,
they're just collecting a pay packet, aren't they?
Yeah, that's fine. You wanna oh, you want to nuke Africa? Yeah, that's fine. You guys do that. We're all a bunch of yes men. Seriously, it's just a bunch of fucking yes men at that club. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then they give Solskjaer no budget. He's going, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. You want to give me a 33-year-old who's been out of football for 7 months? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you crack on. No, I didn't want Jadon Sancho anyway. I didn't want him. He was my top target, but I just thought I'd put him in there for a laugh, because it's funny. But it's, clearly not funny to you guys. You morons.
Well, just final points then. So, Maguire captain, no?
Nah.
Yes, there you go. That's how we'll end it. So, thanks as ever for watching.
Put a comment up and see whether, disagree or agree, because, we want to see what other United fans think of this.
Yeah, if you've made it this far, let us know whether you think Maguire should be captain or not down in the comments. There you go.
And remember to like and subscribe.
So yeah, cheers for watching. Cheers for coming on again. You're my co-host, so you should be on, but
Yeah, exactly. If I wasn't, it'd be a bit worrying.
But yeah, we'll hopefully see you...
Probably the end of this week, because we are going to have a Newcastle fan to do a preview on the game.
Before we get embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see you probably Friday, I'd assume.
Remember to watch that, and remember not to watch the pay-per-view.
Yeah, illegal stream. Thank you. See you later.
See you later.